The Kentucky Fried Chicken on Fowler Avenue near USF in Tampa was shut down last week due to insect activity in the kitchen.
Have you ever taken a bite of chicken at a familiar place and thought, something just feels off? Back when food was simpler, we trusted what we were served without needing a chemistry degree to decode it. But if what you are eating is not quite what it claims to be, how would you even know? Today at the Hidden Menu, we take a deep dive into what might really be inside that chicken. So let us start with 1. Popeyes. When you step into a Popeyes, it smells just like you remember. Crispy, spicy, comforting. The kind of fried chicken that takes you back to drive-through dinners after ball games or late-night cravings when the only thing open was that orange-lit counter on the corner. You order what you have always ordered, maybe a combo with red beans and rice, and take that first bite thinking it is the same bird you grew up with. But something has changed, and it is not just nostalgia talking. Many customers have started asking whether the chicken at chains like Popeyes is still just chicken. That question may sound strange, but it is rooted in a quiet shift happening across fast food menus nationwide. Food labeling laws allow a lot more than you might expect. Terms like seasoned, enhanced, or marinated can legally mean the chicken you are eating contains added water, sodium, modified food starch, and flavoring agents, sometimes making up to 15% of the product. That means the juicy piece of chicken you are biting into may be partially pumped full of additives designed to retain moisture and boost shelf life. Former employees and food prep staff have shared stories of pre-packaged chicken arriving in vacuum-sealed bags, already injected with flavor solutions before they ever hit the fryer. In some cases, these flavor packs include hydrolyzed proteins and chemical preservatives that stretch the meat's texture and boost that crispy bite without having to use premium cuts. The chain proudly advertises its Louisiana heritage, but behind the counter, the ingredients might feel a lot more like science than soul food. For seniors, this becomes more than a food debate. It becomes a health issue. Excess sodium and phosphates can quietly harm those managing high blood pressure, kidney disease, or heart conditions. But when a chain blends additives into raw chicken, it is not always clearly labeled on the menu. You think you are eating a protein-rich meal, but end up consuming far more sodium and fillers than expected. And you may not find out until a checkup tells you something is off. The nostalgia surrounding Popeyes makes it feel like an old friend. But as recipes change and the kitchen gets streamlined for profit, that trust can quietly erode. Most folks never stop to ask what they are actually eating. The spices still taste familiar, the crunch still satisfies, but the bird beneath may not be the same one you remember. 2. Subway. You walk into a Subway expecting something lighter, something that feels a little healthier than the greasy bags from other chains. Maybe you go for the rotisserie-style chicken or the oven-roasted option, trying to make a good choice. But over the years, questions have bubbled up about what is really inside that meat. Back in the day, chicken was just chicken, plain and simple. But today, it seems that word means something different, depending on where you are standing. Several independent tests and investigations over the years have raised quiet alarms about Subway's chicken. One report from Canada once found that the chain's chicken samples contained as little as 50% actual chicken DNA. The rest? Soy protein and a cocktail of flavor enhancers, preservatives, and texture modifiers. Subway disputed the claim, but the story stuck in the minds of customers. It planted a seed of doubt. Ask any former employee and they will likely tell you the same thing. The chicken comes in pre-cooked and packaged, sometimes soaked in a liquid that keeps it from drying out on the sandwich line. It is engineered for consistency, not authenticity. And while the menu highlights buzzwords like fresh and rotisserie, what ends up on your sandwich may be more processed than people realize. You do not taste it right away because it is hidden behind sauces, veggies, and toasted bread, but it is there hiding in plain sight. For older adults trying to eat lean and clean, this becomes a quiet trap. You think you are choosing wisely, picking a grilled chicken sandwich with lettuce and tomato instead of something fried and greasy. But that sandwich may still deliver high sodium, added sugars in the marinade, and a longer ingredient list than you bargained for. These small choices add up over time, especially for those watching their diet due to heart or kidney issues. The chain's advertising has always leaned into health and simplicity. But as supply chains evolved and margins tightened, what used to be food started to look more like formula. When you hold that sub in your hands, you may not see the difference, but your body might feel it. And by then, the damage is already done. 3 KFC. There is something about KFC that makes people feel 10 years old again. That red and white bucket, the smell of warm biscuits, the familiar face of the Colonel smiling back from the box. For many Americans, KFC was one of the first real tastes of fast food. Special occasions, Sunday dinners, maybe even birthday parties. But while the branding has stayed the same, what is under the crispy skin has quietly changed. Like many fast food chains, KFC has adapted its chicken supply for speed, shelf life, and cost savings. Behind those bold flavors and that signature crunch is a preparation method that has little to do with what your grandmother cooked in cast iron. Their chicken is often enhanced before it ever reaches the restaurant. That means it is injected or marinated with a solution containing water, salt, monosodium glutamate, and chemical preservatives. The goal? Make it juicier, more flavorful, and cheaper to produce at scale. Multiple former workers have described how frozen or pre-brined chicken is delivered ready to be battered and fried. The seasoning blend may be top secret, but the enhancements are often more about preserving uniformity than honoring tradition. Additives like sodium phosphate and modified starch help maintain moisture and texture during cooking and holding. The result is chicken that feels tender and tasty, but may contain up to 20% non-chicken material by weight. For seniors watching their sodium intake or trying to eat less processed food, this poses a quiet risk. What feels like a classic indulgence is often a heavily engineered product, designed more for shelf life than health. You may remember how it used to taste. Slightly greasier, slightly more real. That memory might be why you keep going back, thinking it will taste just like it used to. But now, your body may be reacting to more than just oil and breading. There's nothing wrong with enjoying comfort food now and then. But comfort should not come at the cost of transparency. If the chicken has changed, folks deserve to know. But in most cases, no one is telling them, not in ads, not on menus, and not behind the counter. If any part of this has felt a little too familiar, now might be a good time to like the video, leave your thoughts below, and subscribe to the hidden menu, because what comes next might just change how you look at your next meal. 4. Chick-fil-A. For many folks, Chick-fil-A feels like a tradition as much as a meal. Whether it is the polite service, the piping hot waffle fries, or the signature chicken sandwich, it has long held a place as a comforting stop for families, travelers, and seniors alike. The sandwich is simple, the branding is clean, and the chicken, well, it is supposed to speak for itself. But what a lot of loyal customers do not realize is that what they are biting into may not be as straightforward as it seems. That signature filet, so proudly advertised as real chicken, contains more than just chicken breast. According to former employees and nutrition label deep dives, Chick-fil-A's chicken is marinated in a complex brine made with monosodium glutamate, better known as MSG, alongside a blend of other preservatives and flavor enhancers. Now, MSG by itself is not the devil it was once made out to be. But for sensitive individuals, especially older adults with high blood pressure, migraines, or sodium sensitivities, this additive can still cause uncomfortable reactions. That salty satisfaction in the sandwich's aftertaste does not come just from the seasoning blend. It comes from a lab-tested formula designed to make your brain crave more. And it works. Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich has often been ranked among the most addictive fast food items in America. But few customers are aware that what makes it so addictive may not come from the chicken at all. Even more quietly, there is the issue of how the chicken is processed. It is real meat, yes, but it is tenderized and pre-treated in a factory before it ever sees a kitchen fryer. That process often includes injecting or tumbling the meat with solutions meant to enhance flavor and moisture retention. Industry insiders say this gives the meat a softer, more uniform texture, something customers have come to expect. But it also blurs the line between whole meat and modified meat. And while Chick-fil-A avoids the meat paste criticisms thrown at other chains, it still walks a fine line when it comes to transparency. Then there is the breading. light and crisp, but more than just flour and spices. That coating includes anti-caking agents and texture stabilizers that help it fry up golden every time, regardless of the cook behind the counter. For seniors managing dietary restrictions, this matters. Sodium, hidden sugars, and synthetic flavoring agents can add up in ways you would not notice until you start feeling bloated, dizzy, or sluggish after a meal you thought was wholesome. And what about those grilled options that seem healthier? The grilled nuggets and sandwiches may skip the fryer, but they do not skip the lab. Multiple reports, including consumer tests, have shown these grilled options still include preservatives and artificial smoke flavor, designed to mimic the taste of backyard barbecue without ever touching a flame. Former employees have even mentioned that the grilled fillets arrive pre-cooked and only require reheating. It is not necessarily dangerous, but it is not what most customers think when they hear the word grilled. The irony is that Chick-fil-A markets itself as honest, wholesome, even faith-based. And while there is nothing illegal about how their food is prepared, the quiet additives and flavor tricks they rely on create a misleading sense of purity. Seniors who trust the name may not realize they are consuming more sodium, more flavor additives, and more processing agents than their doctors would ever recommend. And yet most people keep going back because it tastes good, because the service is friendly, because the packaging is neat and the music is soft and familiar. But behind that familiar warmth is a system built on engineered cravings and chemically optimized flavor. And that for some folks can feel like a betrayal once they finally start reading the label. 5. McDonald's. There was a time when McDonald's meant something simple: a hot meal, a low price, and a place to rest on a long road trip. For seniors especially, it often holds a nostalgic pull. Breakfast with grandkids, afternoon coffee with friends, or just the comfort of something familiar in a fast-changing world. But few folks realize that even the simplest menu items are not always what they appear. Take the chicken nuggets, for example. They are golden, crispy, and kid-approved. But what is inside has sparked questions for decades. McDonald's states that their nuggets are made with white meat chicken, and that is technically true. But the nuggets are not whole breast meat. They are made from a slurry of white meat trimmings blended with modified food starch, leavening agents, natural flavors, and preservatives. The result is a spongy texture that is consistent in every bite, but hardly the same as cutting into a home-cooked chicken breast. Back in the early 2000s, videos circulated showing pink paste, mechanically separated meat, being used in food production. McDonald's publicly denied using that method, and they have since rebranded their process. But behind closed doors, the practice of using emulsified, seasoned, and shaped meat mixtures continues, just with a cleaner presentation. Then there is the issue of flavor. To ensure those nuggets taste the same from Boston to Bakersfield, McDonald's adds a flavor enhancer blend that includes hydrolyzed vegetable proteins and autolyzed yeast extract, both sources of free glutamates that mimic MSG. These compounds heighten savory notes but can also trigger adverse reactions in sensitive individuals, especially older adults. And the grilled chicken? Once thought to be the healthy option, it was quietly pulled from menus during the pandemic and has only reappeared in limited formats. Former employees say it required more care to cook and was less popular, meaning the cost outweighed the appeal. In its place, newer chicken sandwiches rely heavily on brined and pre-cooked patties, loaded with sodium and sugar to maintain flavor even after sitting under heat lamps. For seniors watching blood pressure or managing heart conditions, this matters. One McChicken sandwich can contain nearly 1,000 milligrams of sodium, nearly half the recommended daily intake for older adults. Add fries and a soda, and you have a lunch that feels innocent but hits the body hard. The marketing still feels wholesome. Smiling grandkids, golden arches, senior coffee specials. But behind the counter, the food itself is engineered, not crafted. That is the part most folks miss, because it is cheap, because it is easy, because it tastes like it always has. But what it is made of? That part has changed more than most people realize. 6. Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box has always been a little different. Quirky commercials, late-night menus, and a reputation for offering just about anything, from tacos to egg rolls to burgers to chicken teriyaki bowls. But buried in that massive menu is a chicken lineup that raises more questions than it answers. Because at Jack in the Box, chicken can mean many things. And not all of them are what you expect. Start with the chicken nuggets. They are cheap, crispy, and often come in late-night combo deals. But according to their own nutritional disclosures, the nuggets are made from white meat chicken that has been chopped, shaped, and blended with binders and flavoring agents. It is not whole breast meat. It is not thigh or leg. It is emulsified chicken product, shaped into uniform bites and coated in seasoned batter. Then there are the chicken sandwiches. Available in fried and grilled varieties, these sandwiches feature large patties that give the illusion of real fillet cuts. But the fine print reveals the truth. Many are rib meat and white meat blends, parts of the chicken mechanically separated and pressed together. The grilled version includes flavoring agents to simulate that backyard taste, liquid smoke and grill marks applied in the factory. Jack in the Box also offers chicken strips, which sound like they should be closer to real meat. But again, the ingredient list shows a combination of chicken breast with added water, salt, and modified starches, designed to increase volume, softness, and moisture retention. One former employee said the strips arrive frozen, par-fried, and pre-seasoned, with little done in store other than final frying. But it is not just about what the chicken is made of, it is about what it is made with. Jack in the Box has faced past scrutiny for using tertiary butyl hydroquinone, or TBHQ, in their cooking oil, a preservative linked to stomach irritation and potential long-term effects when consumed frequently. Though allowed by the FDA in small amounts, it is not something most customers expect when biting into a crispy chicken sandwich. For older customers with digestive sensitivities, high blood pressure, or dietary restrictions, these additives can quietly take a toll. Sodium levels in their chicken items are high across the board, and those sauces that come on the side? Many are loaded with added sugars, thickeners, and food dyes. Jack in the Box markets itself as a fun, slightly rebellious alternative to bigger chains. But behind the playful mascot and late-night jingles is a food system built for speed, shelf life, and engineered flavor. What you see on the menu might say chicken, but what you get is a mix of parts, additives, and lab-crafted taste. And if you are not reading the ingredients, you would never know. 7. Burger King. There was a time when walking into a Burger King felt like stepping into a modern-day castle of comfort food. Flame-grilled burgers, salty fries, and yes, that tender chicken sandwich, wrapped in warm paper with a little crown on the label. But if you peel back the wrapper and take a closer look, the story behind that chicken is not quite as straightforward as it seems. Over the years, more than a few customers have wondered what exactly they were biting into. On paper, the menu says crispy chicken or spicy chicken sandwich, and the ads show golden fillets cut into thick, juicy pieces. But behind the scenes, the process tells a different story. Former employees have shared how many of the chain's chicken items are made from heavily processed meat, what industry insiders sometimes call restructured or formed meat. It is chicken, yes, but not in the way you might expect. Instead of a single cut or breast, it is often a blend of different parts. Meat scraps, fat, starches, and fillers, all pressed together and shaped into a familiar fillet. The breading, which gives it that signature crunch, is often seasoned to deliver a burst of flavor that masks what is underneath. And when it comes out of the fryer, hot and crispy, you might not question it. But the texture can sometimes feel too soft or too uniform, almost spongy. That is a common sign of restructured chicken. Real whole muscle chicken has a natural grain to it. These formed pieces? Not so much. Some customers have posted images online of sandwiches pulled apart to show rubbery centers or strange layers. In response, representatives have typically stood by the product, emphasizing it meets safety and quality standards. But as with many large chains, meeting the bare minimum standard does not necessarily mean the food is good for you or what you think it is. There is also the question of sodium. A single crispy chicken sandwich at Burger King can contain over 1,000 milligrams of sodium, close to half of what an adult should consume in a whole day. Add a side of fries and a fountain drink, and suddenly lunch has become a salt bomb. For seniors managing blood pressure or heart health, that kind of meal is more than just fast, it is risky. And it is not just the sandwich. The chicken nuggets, shaped and served in small boxes for quick dipping, are also made from a processed blend. Some former workers have said they arrived frozen in huge bags, already fully formed, and ready to drop in the fryer. Quick to serve, easy to package, but far from the kind of chicken your grandmother used to bake on a Sunday afternoon. To be fair, Burger King is not alone in this. Many fast food chains rely on similar preparation methods to cut costs and ensure consistency. But that does not mean consumers should accept it without question, especially not seniors who grew up in an era when chicken meant bone-in, oven-roasted, and full of honest flavor. Not machine-formed patties coated in layers of salt and oil. So the next time that ad promises crispy perfection or made just for you, it might be worth remembering that what is perfect for the company's bottom line is not always perfect for your health. 8. Checkers and Rally's. If you ever pulled up to a Checkers or Rally's drive-thru, you probably remember the voice crackling through the speaker, the neon glow reflecting off your windshield, and that unmistakable smell of fried food drifting through the air. Their chicken sandwiches and bites are a staple of the menu. Cheap, fast, and loaded with flavor. But what makes them so addictive might be the very reason you should think twice. Checkers and Rally's operate with a business model that focuses on low prices and high flavor impact. To achieve that, they rely on seasoning blends, marinades, and processed meats that hold up well in the deep fryer. Their chicken options, whether tenders, bites, or sandwiches, often contain multiple additives including modified food starch, sodium phosphates, and even textured soy protein. These ingredients help bind moisture, preserve texture, and mimic the feel of a whole chicken cut. But they also blur the line between food and food product. A former employee shared on a public forum that the chicken came in large frozen blocks, breaded and pre-seasoned with a chemical smell that lingered in the kitchen. Once dropped into the oil, it crisped up fast. Too fast, he said, for anything resembling whole chicken breast. What customers tasted was mostly coating, salt, and oil layered on top of restructured meat. More than one customer has reported chewy textures, unusual air pockets, or chicken that felt more like sponge cake than poultry. And then there is the color. Bright white inside, not the fibrous pinkish hue you get from true cooked chicken breast. That whiteness, while appealing to the eye, often comes from bleaching agents or brine solutions that standardize appearance. Nutrition labels reveal more concerns. A typical chicken sandwich from Checkers or Rally's can contain upwards of 20 grams of fat and more than 1,000 milligrams of sodium. Their chicken bites, small enough to finish in a few bites, can pack nearly the same punch, especially if dipped in salty sauces. And these items are often promoted as meal deals, pairing them with fries and sodas that push the total salt and calorie count far beyond daily recommendations. None of this is illegal. To be clear, it is not unique to Checkers or Rally's. But their marketing, aimed at fast flavor and cheap satisfaction, makes it easy to overlook the compromises happening behind the curtain. Seniors drawn in by nostalgia or convenience may assume they are grabbing a quick bite like they used to, but the ingredients and preparation methods have changed. There is something quietly unsettling about realizing your chicken sandwich contains more filler than meat. It is not that the food is unsafe, it is that it is built for speed, savings, and illusion. And unless you pause to look closely, you might never realize what is actually in that crispy golden breading. Back in the day, chicken came from the oven, not a factory line, and maybe that is why each bite meant more. Today, marketing buzzwords and carefully crafted flavor hide just how far we have drifted from food we once trusted. But the more we know, the more power we have to make choices that feel right again. Not rushed, not hidden, just honest. If anything in this video made you pause or think twice, share your story below, give this a quiet thumbs up if it helped, and subscribe to the hidden menu so next time your meal comes with a side of fine print, you will already know what to look for. And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.